Hey, it's Shalonda again. And I guess we're just going to sit here and do a couple of these tonight. We're still in the Apocalypse chapter 5 now. Okay. And I don't think that I read this part earlier. So we're just going to go ahead and read it. It's separated. And it says, the three songs of praise. Right. It says, and they sing a new canticle, saying, worthy art thou to take the scroll and to open its seals, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us for God with thy blood. Okay? Out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation. This all started with me looking at Genesis when it comes to the child, the child, the child, the child, children, children, children. In the game or the skit that has been going on again in the background, disguised as acts of God. Or maybe not. We can look at it as acts of the God, excuse me, gods or Lord gods that are on top of the earth. So I'll tell you a story. We'll speak about it because it has to do with courts. We'll just say there was an incident during all this chaos that felt like war on the household. When? I think I might have did a video back then. My grandchild, for some reason, like I said, there's some issues with the court system when I look at it now, seeing it from this way, um, when it comes to children. Okay. And we realized that there had not been any contact with this child, with the person. But the courts were so eager to hand the child over. My daughter asked for the first couple of visits to be, what do you call it, monitored visits, because the child had not been away from anybody in our household for the whole time that she had been born. She doesn't really like people. She doesn't really like men. Okay? Women she's okay with, but when it comes to men, she's iffy. And, it broke our heart that they can come in when this person has not bought one thing but a pack and play. We're wondering what the hell is going on. Why didn't we know that there could be appointed joint custody? The guy doesn't even have a job. He's never been around a child. Then she asked for other things like for it to be what do you call it? You know what it's called when they monitor it or whatever. Okay, visitations for the first couple of ones. No. Why do you think he needs that? Well, it just so happens that this person had some very violent things on their record. And so we're wondering, how does something like this spiral out of control and turn into something like this? This is the type of attack that has been done, that someone has chosen. And someone wants me to believe that this is a creator of mine, a God of mine. And I'm saying, have you just blinded God so that you can take advantage and do whatever you want to do around here? Well, the child comes back from the first forced visit, and we'll just say that there were signs of a form of abuse. Also signs that look like, to me, I'm no nurse, but I've had several blood drawn and things like this. I've witnessed childbirth, and I'm very, very particular about who is around my children. Is the reason why I stayed home with them. Okay. And I noticed she was walking on her tippy toes, and I was looking at what might be wrong, and there seemed to be some markings on the bottom of her foot. Like the ones that they get in the hospital when they draw blood. Well, that was the first time. Well, we reported that to several agencies and nothing happened. Emergency room visit, police report, nothing happened. It's almost like somebody, first of all, this person is a statutory person. The second time, the baby comes back with a busted lip. We're wondering, what's going on? We can't get any kind of supervised visitation. What's going on? Well, lucky for us, after that visit, the young man ended up being able to purchase some things that he hadn't been able to purchase for himself really ever before, partying and everything. And it's almost like, when somebody comes up on a little bit of money, but it ain't really that much, but they did come up on some money real quick, right? And all of a sudden, the child is never picked up again. Been months. Okay. So we talked about the white, people are going to see it differently. The white bison. We talk about the child, right? Sometimes that was an albino child, or, a pure child, or something like this, right? We talk about the generations, right? And even in the beginning, they were told not to take a fruit from the tree in the midst of the garden, which I have two separate theories that I'm looking at on that. Okay. But the midst makes me think, if there's 3 generations, and if there was the prophecy of the 3 generations, that we're talking about the middle generation. So not quite my aunts and uncles, but my cousins, not quite my children, but the midst of the garden would be those particular people, right? I don't even know why I'm thinking Dan. Maybe I should look up the tribe of Dan and try to find out some things. So this is fourth generation. And I remember even we didn't let her get any kind of things in the hospital, pricks. But I remember coming home and seeing a mark on her arm, and it wasn't there at first, right? And when she got home, then I'm wondering, wait, because I think when I did that video that they tore down within like 5 minutes called The War on the Womb, there was that marking, and somebody was doing a video on how there was some kind of, prick or vial, right? That was given out at some point in time in this story where it gave the children little brown mark on their arms, right? And I can't remember what it did wrong. I don't think it was infertility. It could have been, but that just tied into another thing that I was looking at. And at that time, I was reading something about a sacrifice of even looking in the Nag Hammadi and reading about the child that was born that just says A-E-I-O. Okay, all right. And then also a form of sacrifice or something that was done to a little child from a bloodline. I mean, like I said, this was a while ago, and I just had so much information going through my mind at that time, and so much, other stuff. That again, it brought it up to me the other day when Source brought it up again when I was looking at this the other day. I'm thinking, this is crazy. And let me tell you, the, the the fact that this has been months ago and the person has not even called. He never wanted to see the child in the first place. So we were wondering, you know how I am, okay? We're wondering this, but it's a helplessness that comes over you at that point in time. And then other people and I can find it funny now, right? Because at that time I already knew that something was going on with surveilling. And it's kind of funny how, you hear people, oh, you see how disgusting people are once you look back at everything. And you see how people were making fun and saying, oh, these people that got these documents, they won't have to worry about those particular things. It's kind of like tempting or teasing or, oh, if y'all don't have this, y'all ain't got this paperwork, then boom, 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 whatever, right? Which I think there's some truth to it. But then there's also where I think that there is truth to the fact that nobody should be messing with us at all at this point in time. But they only had a little time, see? This devil only had a little time. And while your people were going in and out of those places, like hospitals and nursing homes, again, think about the age brackets. And now all of a sudden, we're talking about children now. Don't y'all know, like on some of those movies, when they remove the children and take them to another place in order to colonize, or like Divergent, I think that was one. There was another movie, maybe The Knowing, or not The Knowing, but it wasn't AI, but it was another movie where they were the lady was talking to her child, and they said all this time she was dealing with this energy, she thought that they would be able to go. But at some point in time, she found out that the parents weren't going to be able to go. They were going to use them, but then they chose just to take the children. Which reminded me of the images that we just saw with the lady in the smoke signal with the baby, in the ancient alien images of the baby. and something that could have been looked at as the red dragon, and unexplained things that I know I'm not the only one that has gone on with, especially when it comes to women in their body. So it's all about greed and thievery, bribing, you know, same thing is just talked about in this text throughout the whole thing. Okay. And so this really struck me. Because when we're talking about these 7 seals, it's reminding me of the 7 chakras, or even your records, your Akashic records, when it says the books are open. When the books were open, and I said that in Revelations, right? Within the past couple of days, I don't know if it was something that was done or I did it to close something up. It needed to be closed up. I felt drained, and like people were making fun of me for being drained, when some entities know exactly what was going on. Almost bullied. And then within the last couple of days and weeks, you see the whole thing of, oh, someone's mental illness. And they're using people in the community. They're using people in the tarot reader, seeing community. They're using people in the biblical community. This energy is using people in whatever, there's some of us that are the singletons that have been singled out. Could be your co-workers or family members. Yeah. And the thing is, I definitely see that there's some payouts being done to everybody except for the ones that are putting in the most work. The ones that are having their energy sucked on by a succubus, copycat, vampire energy. So, again, it says here, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us for God with thy blood, out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation. Okay. So, and has made them for our God's kingdom, for their God's kingdom, a kingdom and priests, and they shall reign over the earth. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? They're going to reign over the earth. Finally, because they had not found someone to reign over the earth in Genesis. Okay? At one point. And now they have someone to reign over the earth. So everything that I'm talking about when it comes to algorithms and things like this, they have been planting, programming, and plotting. And they are trying to walk away and leave an empty shell that will not harness energy and will not be able to see what has been done. And I say, I am so glad that that's what they did. I am so glad that that's what they did, so I can see exactly what the hell was done. So I wanted to look up the white horse, and I don't know, this song came up. But it says, say you're sorry. That face of an angel comes out just when you need it to. As I packed No, apologies. Okay. As I paced back and forth all this time, because I honestly believed in you holding on. The days drag on, stupid girl. I should have known. I should have known that I'm not a princess. That ain't a fairy tale. This ain't a fairy tale. I'm not the one you'll sweep off of her feet. Lead her up the stairwell. This ain't Hollywood. This is a small town. I was a dreamer before you went and let me down. Now it's too late for you and your white horse to come around. Okay. Almost like this whole divine masculine feminine energy thing, right? And I told you guys what it was from the beginning. Siring and mounting a free-for-all when it comes to the remember that video we did the other day with Inanna? Okay. And those women, those goddesses, that it seemed like they had like holes in their stomach and they had holes in their vaginal area, like big holes for some reason. And I was wondering, what is this about? Right? And I knew it had to be something. Right? Okay. So they think that they're going to put these people in appointed positions by stealing, basically, from the earth or from me or from God, precious information. They thought that they could go before and behind, right? Well, they needed me to go back. They needed my records. And then they poured them out onto individuals that are not deserving to have my fucking information ever. Do you understand how defiling and how fucking degrading that is? For you to invite people into my space, into my vassal. Me being a private person that takes protecting my children, first of all, and my home very seriously. I don't talk, and I see it now happening in steps. And you guys better be careful. Or I guess maybe you don't have to be, because maybe most of you guys are already some form of something that you may find in a movie called They Live. Because these people have, what they've done is robbed. Now I see why some people want to get the fuck off this planet. The very essence. All so someone would not be put in a position that they were destined to be in. Right? Very wicked, very cruel, very wicked. This could not be the work of a God, my God, or source, or the all, what I would call the all. The only thing this can be is what the research shows us for the past some odd years while we break down the Bible like this non-bias. Knowing that there's something that we're not naming, or someone or an entity or an energy or a frequency that we're unable to really know. Right? But then all of a sudden you find out that it's really in you. What do you do? And once you figure this out, you're looking around and it seems like you're a fascination to everybody in town. And then you're also something that people want to spew negative energy and charges towards. And somebody put you in that position by using whatever they have in order to orchestrate this thing. That is deep. only to use whose blood? Excuse me. To rectify the situation. So this mother, this wisdom, this spirit has been used and abused and sucked dry for a servant, for a mule. I go back to Hathor. You can go back to the video that we did about the prick not that long ago. And we could see just what some of these gods or demigods or Lord gods were doing and have been doing to God herself for a very long time. In these religious institutions, in these schools, in your minds, your bodies, your soul, to your spirit. Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. Okay. And I beheld and I heard a voice of many angels round about the throne, and the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and divinity." Okay. Now, okay. There's lamb or lambs, right, in this text. So again, someone was able to break a code or do something, right? And it just so happens that I see these individuals, as I'm telling y'all this story, I see the individuals and the information flashing through my eyes. And again, yes, another thing. This is why you can't. Sometimes people just can't face you or look at you. There's certain energy that'll look at you through a mirror or something else, but they cannot really face you. Some know because of the hard task that they're going to have to do when it comes to you. And some, again, they'll say these things about you to make them feel better about what they did to you. But this says, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to," okay? Now, it doesn't say the Lamb that was slain in the beginning of the foundation of, no, a Lamb that was slain. So if you think about it, at this point in time, when it comes to social status, some people made it over, and some people, again, they're finding ways to throw you back down into the pit, right? So when we say generational curses, right? And we use that term pit, which is a closer name, close enough, right? And that these people had certain gifts. But at that point in time, when I look at that bloodline, again, that's when the Irish came in. They got land patents. Do you get what I'm saying? First, the land was written over on one of the census into David's name, right? David had a lot of kids, a lot of children. My grandma had probably about 16 on her own. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. And every creature that is in heaven and on earth and under the earth, okay, as such as are on the sea and all that are in them, I heard them all saying to him who sits upon the throne, and to the Lamb, blessing and honor and glory and dominion forever and ever. So what someone wants to take is that seat forever. Okay. And this is why I said I felt the energy of take me or you will not get this, or take me. Even when we think about bow down and worship me and I'll give you all of this. I didn't come here for any of that. I came here to take it. I came here to have it, right? I didn't go through what I went through and do the things I did to not have it. To have someone that may not be the one be the judge of if I get it or not. I know there's been somewhat of a race, and that's why we were talking so much of voting rights when it's not even really voting season. I mean, they're always voting for something, but I was just wondering why it was just so talked about right now. Because there was another type of a race going on, one that some of the players or some of the people were not invited. Some of the original members that should have been there were not invited. Matter of fact, they had energy sicked on them. And we'll just be using energies right now just so we don't say certain terms. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But it's supposed to be a test from God, or was it just stalling? Right? And that sent me to, again, grateful, right? Because it sent me to a level where I realized I am God. Not just saying it and just sensing it, but actually seeing it. But it would look like something triumphant. So to him who sits on the throne. So again, it's the one that they think they want to put on the throne or have sitting on that throne. That gets the worship. When the actual throne is the earth. See? And that's why in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, these are talking about statuses. This is the commoners, peasants, and servants. This is the Sheol. The follow, so it's going right back the same thing that we've talked about for years here. So I can see why they chose me. Because it seems like the chosen people are treated the worst because, again, someone chose those people to teach them a lesson or chose to use them as a laughing stock or chose to use them in order to force something on people and say, hey, you don't want this to happen, so just get this or do this. And to the Lamb, blessing and honor and glory and dominion forever and ever. Okay. And the four living creatures said, Amen. And the elders fell down and worshiped him who lives forever and ever. So, I'm just trying to figure out who this is. What have they done? What have they done? It even seems like there's one, right? But now they have another version of it, an idol. So they're at the point, I'm sitting here listening to this news clip about some SID program. So what they feel now is this not net. So even anybody, like I said at the times when I was feeling like, oh, here's someone that I can connect with. No, they don't want me to connect with nobody. They don't want me to get no views on my channel. They don't want me to connect with nobody. And I'm figuring out that everybody, right? There's a program, I feel. And everybody that was connected to that program had privy to my information. But these people are programmed. They're programmed to do what they did. So the other day I said to someone, I think we are the Sims. I think we're Sims. And they have a program called SID. Now I was thinking, what is this? Right? Really talking about. And I don't know if we found it, but we're going to look. We'll see. Because I think now people are wanting to run and hide their hands. They don't want to feel the wrath of God. So again, when it says to go to the Supreme Court, okay, when I think about the real Supreme Court, that is the court in the spiritual realm where I have been residing for a time and some time. Okay. So that little door in heaven opened up recently, I think, that said, come up here and let me show you. So again, the living creatures and the elders. So again, what are the living creatures? Right? Those are the people that are above the shield. Those are the ones that are above the... You can go back and look at the video that we did on infrastructure, which I tried to warn you back then and then now. And so again, I can see why. And the reason they feed the information to the people that are hooked up to this SID thing or some other kind of program so that they can be virtual bullies, because these people are not a people anymore. Not a people. And I don't know if this is a punishment to God's wife, because there's miscommunication between him and his wife. And because really his wife would be on earth in a human vessel, right? Under attack. By her jealous or evil husband, possibly. Or he was trying to have somebody else's wife that didn't belong to him. And that's why they were not able to communicate. And then that's when she turned into Lilith, or even just Eve being the one taking the punishment, when we know that Adam is the one, right? That kind of said, oh, it's the woman that you gave me. I reread that the other day and I was thinking, hold on. If you read this again, how are we blaming Eve? It was just funny. Okay. So this is why the whole campaign has been going on, to make it seem as though this person is this and that. So again, the veil has been lifted to a certain extent. And I just hope that everybody can see. See, so this brings me back to the part when we're talking about the heavens. No, in the sea was not there anymore. But, it also reminded me of the den of it's become a habitation of devils and things like this, right? Which brings me back to the fact that I've never had any type of problems when it came to my account. On Facebook in my group, I probably had 10 removed items there for the past 2 years, which is, I think, when one of these programs started. For the past 2 years. And all of a sudden, within the past week, there's like 300, almost 300 things that they're removing. They won't even show me what they're removing. They're just going in and gutting it out. When we just heard them, we'll just keep saying them. Say something about 12 individuals spreading some type of information. And I'm pretty sure there's some individuals that are so happy that I'm going in this direction because it means that I have failed in someone's eyes. But in my eyes, it's just the opposite. And if I have to conform or change something in order to be a part of something, that something didn't want me there in the first place. I was never invited to any of the anything. Right? And we're not dealing with emotions. We're dealing with what's the truth. Okay? I had to wake up some kind of way and realize what was going on around me. I wasn't even allowed to think all the way openly. Right? So that's what I'm saying about binding and blinding. In those images that we saw of those ancient empresses, all tied up all the time, stuff around their head all the time. It's the same thing over and over and over.